Alright, so we are back with more Everlasting Summer. And later on, besides this game, I figured to give an announcement. I will be adding some new games to the channel, besides the one you see here. Yeah. When you don't have a whole lot of games to play at the time, uh, you're kind of limited, what you could do on your channel as far as the kind of games you could put up here. So I went out and got Game Pass. Yeah, don't ask, guys. It's the first time I actually got it. So uh, I was contemplating. I said, okay, $29. I figured, okay, for 3 months. There's a few games in there that are actually I probably would play, but you know how it goes. Like you don't really always get the best games, but you get some that are passable kind of things. So okay, but I would say it's better than nothing, right? Sometimes you get in a mood to want to play something different than you already own, but you don't really have the money, to go out and get new games like that. So it's like, okay, maybe I could get this for now because when you really think about it, it's not that bad. 3 months, I probably won't even play half of the games that are in there. Only a few that I'll probably actually play, but still, it's better than nothing, right? All right, so with that, let's get back into Ilyana's route because it should be coming to an end. Uh, I think this is day 5, if I'm mistaken. I dressed myself and walked outside. Or maybe it's day 4. I don't even remember now. Ilyana was standing before me with a tricky smile. How did you manage to carry me to the cabin? Was he actually doing that? Okay, so coming into this, like, I need to stop putting this game off for like more than a few days because, like, when I come back into it, I'm forgetting the plot sometimes. That's not good. But yeah, maybe if I'm recalling, there was something that went on back there. Oh, right, they were doing some type of pranking. She was doing some ghosting, and then uh, it led to them coming back this way. But I didn't realize he was actually still with her. That's kind of funny. Wasn't it hard? Not really. What have you come for? I couldn't sleep, but at that moment, bed seemed to be the only place where I could reside with no suffering, which is why Ilyana's sudden visit didn't please me at all. How was she? Did you get scolded? No, I avoided it somehow. That's great, then. I always get lucky. That's for sure. My eyes began closing despite my will. It seems that slumber has finally come upon me. Look, I'm very tired. This won't take long. Close your eyes. Oh boy, where's this going? It was the easiest thing to do, and I didn't even want to know what she needed it for. Maybe that way she wouldn't leave me alone sooner. I closed my eyes. Oh boy, what's gonna happen? Oh, well, not exactly kind of what I expected, but she planted a kiss on his cheek. Okay. I was kind of hoping for the lips, like, cause with this character, you just never know what she might do. But uh, I get the sense that she's a bit more shy than she lets on. It's more like they always say like people have like a way to hide who they really are underneath. Sometimes it's like people put on a mask kind of thing. With her, it's like I think that's just kind of how she is too, though. She is kind of the energetic type, but it's also a shell that she can hide behind so that you wouldn't really know what this girl really feels or thinks of someone else because, like, I don't know, the way she goes about things. But if you ever notice, she does get blushy quite often whenever she gets around him, or there's certain facial expressions. I don't know. So, but I'll take it. Considering that the weather we've been getting lately doesn't want to make up its mind if it wants to be, if it thinks it's still in winter, having cold days like today, or you get some hot ones like we had 2 days ago. It's like make up your mind. Oh no. My eyes opened by themselves, but Oyana was already running away, waving her hand to me. I stood still. B mumbled, and I couldn't even manage to shout anything after her. I mean, yeah, obviously in his situation, I guess you can't really blame him because he's used to her doing other things. So for once, this was kind of nice. Coming into this, I thought maybe I might expect something a little bit random, but the route is actually starting to actually piece together now after all this time. Starting with uh, the ghost little prank thing that they were trying to do back there. So that pretty much led to this, and I don't know. I shivered and went back to bed. Are you gonna remember that kiss? Is she had? Is it? Are you gonna be rubbing your cheek kind of thing? I don't know. Because if she wore lipstick, she might leave a mark there. I don't know. This time I didn't want to sleep. I wanted to think it all through, but my eyes, which had begun to close as I was standing before Oyana, seemed to issue a command to the rest of the body, and I fell asleep before I realized what happened. What happened? Please tell me they did not get it on here. Or am I just imagining that? Day 6. Ah, so we are now officially on her route. Okay. Maybe I thought it was on day 5. Okay. Maybe it was day 5 that I was on then. Okay. That's cool. I can't say that my morning was good. Indeed, I woke up absolutely broken. What'd she do? Did she break you? Never mind. Don't ask, guys. Don't ask where that came from. Or is it more like the other way around? Did he break her? Break something there? Don't know. I'm probably just imagining whatever just took place back there. Maybe I just read that last line wrong. I don't know. But the way that sounded, it sounded like she spent the night in his room. I don't know. The room was filled with a bright sunlight. Because that's how all these scenes have gone so far. Since, you go back to when I did Slavia and Alyssa's routes, I didn't see anything with those either. But something happened and then the screen just went blank on you a little bit, right? And then next thing you know, it's like the next day or this person is somehow still around them. So obviously something took place. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this. I reluctantly dragged myself into a sitting position and stretched. I slowly started to recall the events of the previous day. A trip, a sunny ghost game, Oyana falling asleep, and... so yeah, he is remembering the kiss. Like I said, it would have been nice if it was on the lips, but maybe because considering her age, maybe it was more the way that they kind of went about it. They probably wanted to do it in a more, I don't know, innocent way of doing it, as opposed to, because the idea, some people claim that, when you kiss someone on the lips, someone thinks you might have experience. No, not really. It just depends. Some people, it's more like, if they're even more shy than usual, they might not even attempt to do that. So it's like, I would say an experienced kiss would be somebody who just tries to shove their tongue down your throat kind of thing, right? That's usually the way I look at it. Somebody who's experienced. I don't know. Well, at least that's the idea, right? You're not going to kiss normally if you think that it's just a kiss, right? I don't know. So in this case, it's kind of a playful way of giving a kiss, the way that she did it anyway. So kind of fits her, I guess. I blushed immediately. Good lord. It was so surprising that I'd been knocked out of reality for a while. One kiss to the cheek, and then this is to send you to heaven. Is that what it is? The main problem is how I should treat her now. At first glance, nothing special happened. But no, I wouldn't really say that. You guys have done a lot of things around. You guys have been around each other for a little bit. So I wouldn't really say that. But you just never really got her, though. That's the thing, she's always ever been one way towards him. So it's kind of like, I don't know. So you can't really blame him for not knowing how to deal with the situation. Yeah, it would be something new when you think about it, too, though. You're so used to whatever she was doing, and out of the blue, you get this. It would be the last thing on your mind. Like, I don't know, if you were just a friend with this person, then all of a sudden things just change between you. It would be a different situation or experience to have to deal with there, and you never know how it might go. She's the last girl in the whole camp from which one would expect such actions. I just said that, didn't I? She seemed to be, at best, to be a little sister, nothing more. You might want to be careful saying this line right here because if you start thinking this, man, you start getting some other kind of dialogue. That's going to come across a little bit awkward. Yeah, the idea of her probably is, you could probably think of her like that, but I don't know. It's when you start thinking of someone as more like that, though, the likelihood of you probably wanting to end up dating that person usually gets slimmer and slimmer because when your mind starts thinking in that direction, you're less likely to um, pursue that person further. I don't know. It's kind of weird how that works. Uh, but for her, apparently, I was more than a big brother. Though perhaps I just imagined all that, and there was no hidden meaning, deep motives, or allusions to far reaching conclusions in this kiss. I mean, since you only know one side of her, there could be more to her than meets the eye there, Semyon. You just never know. I just mentioned in the beginning that people do know how to hide certain things about themselves that you wouldn't really know what's going on with this person. You know, just an expression of gratitude. Ayana is definitely capable of extraordinary deeds and could easily turn simple things into complicated ones. Finally, I decided to put off the matter till the time I could meet her face to face. The clock showed 11, meaning Olga didn't wake me up for breakfast. However, I shouldn't worry, there wasn't much time left till lunch. I took my bag of washing accessories and went to do my water procedures. Okay. I didn't meet anybody on the way. Probably all the pioneers are busy with their own things. The place near the basins was deserted too. Just 5 minutes later, I again stood in front of the camp leader's cabin, thinking of what to do next. Nothing worthwhile having come to my head, I sat in the deck chair and possibly could have stayed there until lunch, but I was drawn from my trance by a similar voice. And now that I'm thinking about it, I do recall making a choice back in day 5 now. It was the one where you have to sit when they're going to that little hiking trail. It's coming back to me now. It's like, okay, the last part that I put up there had to do with that. And then it led to the ghost thing. So, some reason though, I didn't think I was on day 5 for some reason, but maybe because I left it off when it was still dark. Maybe that's why it didn't dawn on me right away. But now that I'm on day 6 now, it's like, okay, this, because all this stuff, what's going on here, this is all brand new, in terms of part of the route. This has not been really shown at all. The kiss and all this other stuff. So obviously, I'm just remembering that now. A familiar voice. Who could that be? Hi. Oh, not exactly who I thought it was going to be when he said familiar voice. I looked up and saw Slavia, who was smiling at me sweetly. Okay. This is a little bit random with you in the scene. Hi. You overslept again. Seems like it. That's no good. Perhaps. And where are you going? Actually, I was not really interested in Slavia's agenda for today, but I wanted to keep the conversation going. Agenda. Well, I've got some things to do. I see. Silence followed. She was about to leave when suddenly I said, "Mind sitting with me for a while?" Sure, why not? Slavia sat nearby. Something's worrying you, isn't it? No, why do you think so? I can read it on your face. She laughed softly. You know, reading the walkthrough, I did mention, I don't know, maybe I said it at the beginning, or maybe I did, I don't know. But apparently, I mentioned how Slavia and Ilyana kind of trade points with each other, depending on who you're making more of a focus on. And uh, Lena and Alyssa tend to kind of, I wouldn't say that they're rivals, but you kind of see that the way they go about each other. And then you get this. But personalities between Slavia and obviously Oyana are night and day, right? It's kind of like she's more the nature girl, and then Oyana's usually more full of energy type. uh, but I guess you could kind of use that in the same veins a little bit with when it comes to Lena and Alyssa, but not quite though. Alyssa doesn't have Ilyana's energy like that, but she does kind of have a similar personality on some levels though. And then usually Lena's usually kind of reserved too, somewhat. Uh, Although probably Slavia was right, something really was worrying me. Obviously, I worried about last night's events because the reason I bring that up is because when you if you ignore the choice when you're doing if you're not doing Ayana's route anyway, when you're back in the cafeteria, you're supposed to help clean up, and you basically leave. You basically show back up with her, and basically a conversation takes place, and she mentions how um, there's more to her. Don't be like I can't remember how it all went now. It's been a while, but she obviously knows something about Ilyana or sees something about Ilyana that others don't. I don't know. That's just kind of the thought that came to mind for me. Because she's the only one that's mentioned something about her. At least so far, anyway. Listen, do you have any little brothers or sisters? I do. And how do you get along? Pretty well. She smiled widely. And you? No, I don't. I said after a short pause. So why are you asking? I don't know. Just, do you always understand them? I try to. Sometimes my sister could be a pain in the ass sometimes. Just depends on how you look at it. Other days it's like, it's like in my family it's more like I just tolerate you. Like it's like, do you ever tell the person that you love them? Not in my family. Even though we do, we don't usually say it all the time. I don't know. It's kind of weird with my family. We rarely ever say it's like, when you go to sleep kind of thing. Even when I was little, it's like, good night, son. Go to bed kind of thing. Don't stay up too late. That's usually the kind of dialogue we got. We didn't really get like, I don't know, a good night kiss from mom. It's like tuck you into bed type of thing. Not even from my dad. It's like if I was up, it's like he would say, take your ass to bed, go to sleep. It's like, where's the I love you at? Doesn't exist. It's like, you don't love me, sir. Oh no. I always say some people it's more when it comes to expressing their feelings, they do it in a more subtle way. That's the way my family was. It's like we don't really say the words a lot of times, but we do mean it. Even if we don't say it out loud, it's kind of like you just know that the person does rather than saying it. And some people don't realize that I think it's in Japan. They don't actually say "I love you" with good. When somebody's on the phone, like especially, and they get off. People how they end a conversation. Yeah, they don't do that. In terms of like, they'll give you a greeting, like a certain warm kind of greeting, but it's not the typical like you normally would hear. It's like I love you, hun. I'll see you tonight. Kind of no, none of that. It doesn't go that way. I don't know. It's just so weird like that. That's basically the best way I can describe how my family goes about things. We don't really do that either. It's weird. Suddenly, I stop for a moment. Slavia doesn't know that I'm actually much older than I look. Well, that's because you're from a different time period, aren't you? But here in this world, you are not much older than you look. I am still a child myself. Those who are younger. Why? Well, I cannot always understand the motivations of their actions. They often behave illogically. Weren't you as old as them some time ago? She looked at me with surprise. Of course I was. At that moment, it seemed to me that it had been a very long time ago. And when I looked at Oyana, that time turned into a gulf of years. Well, think of yourself at that time. I was different. At least it seemed like that to me. If so, Good for you. Slavia laughed again. And you? Did you also do stupid things? I have. I think we all have, right? It depends on what age we are talking about. Well, let's say the age of 14, for instance. 14. Jesus Christ. I'm sure he's talking about Ilyana here. My goodness. Just thinking of that age when you're someone like my age, depending on how old you are, but even if you are only in your mid to late 20s, I don't know. The sound of a 14-year-old at that point, when you get like, when you're more than like 10 years that age, you do start to look at the age a little bit differently compared to like when you first turn 18, because you're not, you're only like what, a few years separated from them, like 4 years. But you do start to find yourself drifting away from the adolescent age a little bit. Because, like 14, while it's a teenager age, some people kind of look at it as like, I don't know, the very really early stages of being a teenager. I don't know. Well, different things were happening, she said thoughtfully. Okay, that's nice, but it still doesn't make anything clear. Maybe that's the way it should be. Maybe. Slavia stood up, wished me goodbye, and left. I closed my eyes and fell asleep. So that was an interesting conversation back there. The sound of the bell calling the pioneers for lunch woke me up. Although the sound was quiet and was coming from far away, my body worked like a clockwork automation, and in due time I was standing near the door of the canteen. Oh boy. And that's where I met Ilyana. For some reason back there when he said a familiar voice, that's who I thought was going to show up, but it turned out to be someone different entirely. Hi there. Oh boy. Yeah. I already ate. She laughed brightly and ran away. I think I kind of know why she's doing this there. And what kind of runaway are we talking? Because she didn't really show any blushing, but I would imagine that that's probably why. I didn't stop her. After all, I had nothing to say to her. But now, is he gonna be this kind of dude that's gonna be the type that's gonna puts off what happened back there type of thing? I'm curious how that's gonna go. I mean, yeah, I guess a kiss doesn't always have to mean anything, but even if it is only on the cheek, I'd be curious of why you did this. Like, I don't know. There would be things going on in your mind a little bit. You would think about it because, like, you're so used to the way that this person was. So, there would have to be some type of feelings involved with the other person if they did this, because there's no way that they would just randomly do it out of the blue like that, right? I would have a bunch of questions that I would want to ask her, but I don't know. It's kind of interesting how they're going about this, though. So I'm curious how where it's gonna go. Sit down right there. Alyssa's voice sounded menacing, but at the same time somehow pleading. Well, I always voice her in a certain way. What happened? I've got something to discuss with you, she said with a slightly softer tone. Okay. I sat down next to her. So what's the subject? You were there yesterday when she played that dumb prank with a bedsheet. Oh, jeez. Are you one of them there? For some reason, your silhouette with this hair did not show up in a picture that I recall. I don't know. It was pointless to lie to Alyssa. Yeah, I was there. That's, that's. She laughed out loud. Why on earth did you do that? Alyssa instantly became serious and gave me a level look. Why don't you ask her? No, I'm asking you now, so you have to talk. I don't know. I rasped. Or you better tell me. Why didn't the camp leader react? How should she react? I think you know. I looked at her skeptically. Well, she did not realize who it was. But I must admit, Olga's deductive abilities leave much to be desired. And then, it was you who brought it back last night. Nope, Shakespearean elves did that. Oh, good lord. I said mockingly. Yeah, I would hope you were just joking with that line. What's the problem with that? Some of Semyon's jokes, I have to be honest, are not really all that funny. I don't know. Some of them kind of can be, but um, if he's just trying to go for a certain punchline with him as a character, yeah, it doesn't quite do it for me, guys. I'm just kind of let some of y'all know on that, but no problem at all. Alyssa stared at her plate and started to eat with concentration. Oh, so she went off to somewhere during the night, came back in that happy mood, and don't you know anything about that? Even if I do, why do you care? She gave me an intense gaze. Oh boy. Well, I do care. I would have never thought that she would be concerned about someone besides herself. Well, because now that you're on someone else's route, it's like you don't know Alyssa all over again. You know, it's kind of weird because he spent more time around someone else rather than this person this time around. Same thing with Slavia, so he obviously it's like he only knows them from a distance kind of thing. Nah, it's not about that. Alyssa replied shortly without looking at me. Probably it was a bad idea to bring up the subject. By the way, what's that like that? What do you mean? Well, you just said. What's that I just said? I tried to joke around to confuse her. Hey, listen to me. I'm watching you. Oh, I'm so scared. I said roughly, took my tray and left the table. I definitely wasn't afraid of Alyssa's words, even though they sounded like a threat. In fact, I was more interested by her concern for Oyano. Of all the local inhabitants, she was surely the last one you would expect to worry about another person. I walked out of the canteen and into a real furnace. Okay. The sun blazed so ruthlessly that nobody could stay under his scorching rays. It was time to find to some cool and shady place, and the beach seemed like the best place for this. Did it, though? Oddly enough, the beach was not crowded. Perhaps most of the pioneers were scared of the scorching heat, or maybe they just decided to take a nap after lunch. I didn't bring my swimming trunks, so I just sat under an umbrella and began to watch the swimmers. There was no one I knew, and it was better that way, as I had an opportunity to sit quietly and think. 5.5 days have already passed since my arrival, and what has changed? There were a couple of unexplained but completely harmless events, but all in all, it was just a regular pioneer camp. And this was making me even more frightened. What's going to happen next? Another day, another week, and what's going to happen after the session's over? I've got nowhere to return to. Maybe in this time I hadn't been born yet, or even worse. After thinking all this over for a few minutes, I went back to yesterday evening. Strange, but I worried about it much more than before. On the other hand, I wanted to say something to make the situation clear, but on the other hand, I avoided any meeting with Oyana by all means, afraid of making a fool of myself with a wrong word of gesture. I closed my eyes and dozed off for a while. Oh boy, we usually don't see you in a different outfit other than either what this kind of outfit anyway. When I woke up, I saw Lena by my side. Not that I'm gonna complain about this sight though. How long have you been sitting here? I asked in surprise. Not too long. Strange that she did not wake me up. Did something happen? I don't know why, but my sixth sense was telling me that she's eager to say something but doesn't dare. No? What about you? Neither. Are you sure? Of course. I smiled. And what do you want to talk about? Why would you think I want to talk? It seems like it. Nah, not really. Semyon, it really wouldn't do you that hard to, like, I don't know, get someone else's advice on something. The way he's kind of going about this, blowing people off. But, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's the type that really wants to think of it on his own. Think it on his own type of thing. But some people, we all tend to do this, right? Where we think we have an answer and it never comes to us until someone just kind of. Sometimes you need someone else to kind of motivate you to get you to think in a different way about something. But we tend to get a little bit right. We don't really like to swallow our pride kind of thing, but that's usually what it is. Like, we like to be the one to try to figure it out for ourselves, but sometimes we don't always have the answer. I don't know. Uh, but he could also be going about this because of the fact that they're girls. But I don't think that's the case with Simeon because he doesn't really, the way he goes about each of them, he doesn't really treat any different than the other. So it's more like, uh, but there could be something to that. Maybe he just doesn't realize that's how he's doing it. But I don't know. It's just something that I've kind of noticed anyway. A long silence ensued. Do you have any little brothers or sisters? Good Lord.
No? What about you?
I don't.
So, why would you ask that?
Sometimes I think that I don't understand children at all. Oh boy. How's this conversation gonna go, children? Well, technically, Sebyin, since you were transported back from whatever age you were previously, you would be considered a child according to law. I don't know, 17, right? You would be technically considered as one, even though, like, I look at somebody, by the time they get to 17, I don't really look at you as someone as a child, but society kind of does, certain places.
Me too.
Lena's face didn't express anything.
But it's probably got to be like that.
What do you mean? How should I treat them then?
Treat them the way you think is right.
Well, that's the whole idea. I don't know what is right and what is wrong.
The more you think about it, the more you regret the mistake.
Well, that's true, but it doesn't help. I was somewhat surprised by such profound words from Lena. Of course, she said all that with a trace of shyness or modesty and without inappropriate openness, but still. You mean that I should follow the first idea I get off the top of my head? I laughed.
As the saying goes, your first thought is the right one.
Do you believe that?
I don't know.
We sat there for some time, then she stood up.
Well, I've got to go.
Thanks for the conversation.
Don't mention it.
Lena smiled faintly. I lay down and stared at the burning sun. Your first thought is right, huh? And what if my first thought was to kiss her back? Well, was that your is that would be the first thought on your mind? I mean, I don't know. I would have to ask you guys if somebody did that to y'all. Would you want to do that in return? I mean, maybe it might come to you, but if somebody's been a certain way around you, I think that would more or less catch you off guard. I would think the kiss would probably be the last thing on your. Well, I wouldn't say maybe the last thing on your mind, but it certainly wouldn't be first. It's like maybe you might think of it after you can get an understanding of where this person is coming from, and then maybe it might come to it. But I would be more or less having a bunch of questions that I would have about it. And then if a kiss just so happens to come to my thoughts, it would only be after I find out what's going on with this person, what their feelings might be right there. By the way, what was the first thought that came to me at that time? I tried painfully hard to remember, but nothing worked. Not even scraps of thought surfaced in my brain. However, in that situation, I could only follow Lena's advice, since it all happened so suddenly. The sun was setting slowly, so I rose and went towards the canteen, as my stomach told me that even the participants in such a fantastic story should have regular meals. Somebody called to me at the square. It was electronic. He ran up to me, caught his breath, and said, Semyon. Yeah, that's probably me. Take it. He handed me some kind of key. What's this? It's the key to our clubhouse. Uh, and why would I want it? Olga Dmitrievna asked me to, considering that I would not be returning there today. So give it to Shurik. He has his own business. What kind of business would that be? Never mind. I don't even want to know what his business kind of would be. So take it yourself. I can't. Why not? Listen, just take it. Why would I need it? What am I going to do with it? You give it back to me later. I mean, I would be asking him this question too a little bit. You just coming out of nowhere, just handing me a random key. It's like, is this gonna be a coincidence? Like, is this key gonna lead to something? I have no idea. It's like, here, take the key. Can you find the hole? Kind of. I don't know. Just never mind. I'll just drop the that subject all entirely because the way that this part has gone so far, I don't know. Anything can happen in it. Listen, well, I have to go. I mean, somebody already gave him a pair of keys the one time. Who was it? The nurse? Like, told him to go in, it's like, you're in charge for the day. I don't know anything about this stuff in here. Why are you handing me a key? It's like you trust me with this stuff? I would never do that. If I didn't know you like that, I'm not going to hand you a key. Especially if I know that you ain't going to be that know anything about nursing and all that stuff. He shoved the key into my hand and ran. My goodness. No matter how you look at it, he is definitely strange. But maybe this could be Oyana. I don't know. And I wouldn't be surprised if she was behind something like this. You would really know it. Like, because she does go about certain things. I don't know. Because the fact that, sure, I mean, he just shows up and just gives you a random key without really saying what it's for, why this is the case. Yeah, there could be something to that, but I guess we'll have to find out, right? However, I didn't pay significant attention to this event and just put the key in my pocket. I got to the canteen even before dinner. Fortunately, it was already open, but no food was being served. I took my favorite seat in the farthest corner and concentrated on playing with a toothpick. Oh boy. Soon I got the feeling that someone was standing next to me. I raised my eyes and spotted Olga Dimitrov. We just stared at each other for some time. Do you need something? Finally, I broke the silence. You know, Simeon. Sure, I understand everything, but... What? I asked, surprised. Did you think I didn't notice your absence last night? Absence is quite an overstatement. I'd rather say I just went out for a moment. Well, so what? What's the matter? I thought that it was nothing too, but I was determined to check. The camp leader's expression was increasingly headed towards a frown. So have you checked? I still couldn't understand what she was up to. Yeah, I checked. And you know what? But true pioneer it is. It is. It's just unacceptable. It's shameful. It's disgraceful, especially with her. Wait a minute. Did you witness the kiss, or did you witness something else? I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna guess not whatever I'm probably thinking of. She flushed red with exertion. Or is this kind of a jealous look? I don't know. Because she did this the one time when I think it was him and Slavia, right? When I was doing her route. And they kind of were in the nurses area, and she kind of just barged into him. Next thing you know, she started blaming him for a bunch of things. I'm like, what? I don't even want to hear your pitiful excuses. My goodness. A vague idea of what she was talking about dawned on me. So what happened? Would you care to explain? And now you've got the nerve to play innocent. You, with Ilyana. All they got back there was a kiss. I mean, I'm probably just misinterpreting the line that I thought maybe, okay, that maybe she might have spent the night, but maybe that didn't happen. But I think we all know that there was a kiss involved, but it was on the cheek. There's nothing really, that's kind of plain innocent type thing. So you just said it right there. But he's not really playing innocent. And why are you making it seem like it's his fault here? I don't know. This is what I don't like about this lady here. I don't know. It's like everything is always his fault kind of thing. It's not going to lead to that kind of choice. I'll have to see what that choice is when it comes up, because there is supposed to be some type of choice that takes place in days. Maybe it's day 6. I'm not really sure. I have to look at it. Now it all became crystal clear. I've got 2 things to tell you. First, I started getting steamed up. Nothing of that sort happened there, and I'm the last one who has any relation to the situation.
How do you think that?
Second, I really interrupted her.
Who told you that?
In fact, the answer was obvious. Leona would not do that, and if she had decided to once again play a trick on me, she would have done it much earlier. From the time spent here, I had begun to understand her well. And that leaves only one possible candidate.
Why does it matter?
No, it does.
Would you care to explain your behavior then?
Olga seemed to be a little taken aback by my behemoths. There's nothing to explain. I quickly got up and headed to the exit of the canteen.
Senor, wait.
I heard the camp leader's weak prattle behind me. If you act decisively with her, then she is not that competent. So now I have to get things straight with Tibetskaya. While her pranks hadn't concerned me, and only concerned me indirectly, I could bear it. Just thinking about it, I'd even started to consider her not such a bad person. I met Slavia at the square, and this is where I'm gonna call a to be continued for right now, but I will come back, hopefully, maybe try to do another part tonight. If not, I'll do it tomorrow, but we'll see. So I just kind of wanted to get this started for now. So the round is actually starting to come alive a little bit, so it's actually starting to get interesting now.